Let's go! Woo! What's up, North American Division pastors and church leaders from all across the United States and Canada? I'm super excited to share with you. I'm Pastor Jacob Serns. I'm a church planting pastor in the Texas Conference, and I definitely don't have all the answers, but I'm excited about this opportunity to share with you just a few of the things that I've learned and that I've seen done really, really well to help shift churches in terms of changing to an evangelism culture. So that's what we're going to be talking about, 5 baby steps to help this take place. Now, these steps are not steps that require a whole lot of financial resources or even a large church at all. So I know that those who are watching, if you're a pastor and you say, hey, you know what, Pastor Jacob, I don't have a big budget. I don't have a lot of fancy toys. I don't have a lot of resources at my disposal. I understand. I get you. I'm in the same boat with you there. If you say, you know what, I don't have a lot of people, don't have a lot of volunteers, don't know exactly what all I can do, these 5 baby steps are going to be specifically usable in any of those situations with no problem whatsoever. So step 1, when we're trying to create that change, when we're trying to create that shift towards a culture of evangelism, step 1 that I found is a really good place to start is to celebrate what God is doing. God is at work at all times. He's at work in your congregation in ways sometimes that you see, in ways sometimes that you don't see as well. We want to start opening our eyes to see how is He working, what is He doing. If you have testimonies of changed lives, celebrate those, bring those people up, ask them to tell a slice of their story to the congregation. Because you as a pastor may be aware of a lot more of those things, your church members may not be as aware of those things. Ministry leaders, if you've got a good Sabbath school teacher, a good children's program teacher, bring that person up. Celebrate what it is that God is doing through them as He ministers through them to reach others and to reach your congregation and to grow the people within it. You can also, if you feel like, you know what, we don't have a whole lot of new members coming in, we don't have a lot of new people, you can celebrate the spiritual journey of those who have already been there for a long time. You can ask them to recount their conversion experience and what God is doing in their lives right then, right now. So there's a lot of different things that you can celebrate. And the rule that I like to mention when it comes to this is whatever you speak about more, you get more of. So you get more of whatever you talk about. Whatever it is that you want to see more of in your church, whatever it is that you wish was happening more often, find where it is happening and celebrate it. Talk about it repeatedly. Be excited about what God is doing, and you'll start to see people become aware of that and start opening their eyes to what they see God doing and how God could be using them in the same way. So that's step 1. Step 1 is celebrate what God is doing. Step 2 is schedule baptismal Sabbaths. Schedule them ahead of time by faith, even if you don't have anyone ready to get baptized. This one is pretty crazy, I admit. I understand, it's pretty crazy. This is something that we started doing before we even had a church. We were church planting before we had a building, before we had anywhere to meet. We scheduled baptismal Sabbaths for those people that we were doing Bible studies with before they had even said they wanted to get baptized. And it was amazing what God did. He will act and He will bring people because He says that He is the Lord of the harvest, and He says that the harvest truly is plentiful. That's Jesus' promise. Those are His words. And so He will help us with this. So when we schedule that baptismal Sabbath ahead of time, we start announcing it and celebrating what God will do in anticipation of God working. And you'd be amazed at how God brings people in with that attitude without you even knowing who they are. You're not even aware of who they are. You don't even know where they're going to come from. And God sends people and they say, you know what? Yes, that baptismal Sabbath you keep talking about, that date that you have scheduled there, I'd like to be a part of that. And then you begin preparing them. So changing a culture involves shifting the focus from the things, the problems and the things that aren't working onto the things that are working well. And for this particular one, you really have nothing to lose except a few gallons of water in your baptismal tank, right? So there's nothing to lose by trying this. And if nothing else happens, even if no one's ready for baptism on that Sabbath, you will at least have shifted the focus of the congregation to looking for the harvest and looking for those who may be ready the next time that you schedule a baptismal Sabbath. Step 3, once you've done those things, mobilize baptism coaches. you will have some people who will come up to you and say, you know what, I'd like to prepare for baptism. And it doesn't have to be a complicated thing to help them get ready. What we do is we have the Amazing Facts Bible study guides readily accessible in the lobby of our church. We put them right out there, lessons 1 through 14. And we have an 8-week plan that we allow our church members to go through with someone who has said that they would like to get baptized. 8 weeks is not a terribly long time commitment. Some lessons will have 24, 25 lessons people have to go through. And if you're going to do one of those a week, that's almost half a year. That's too much. That's way too much commitment for people to be going through. You can do 8-week plan where we have the 14 beginner lessons and you do 2 of them a week. But you don't have to sit down and do the lesson with the person. You give them the lessons so they connect with God, they connect with God's Word, they fill out the quiz on the back of the lessons, they come back together with the church member reviews the quiz, answers any questions that they have, and gives them the next 2 lessons. And it goes on like that for those 8 weeks. Then you as the pastor, you clear them for baptism at the end of it, and they're ready to go. It's a pretty exciting thing. So you can mobilize many, many more people to be preparing people for baptism so that it doesn't all have to come through just the pastor, but it's mobilizing your church members as well. It empowers them, it's more efficient, and you're going to create lifelong memories for all those involved. The people, when you've prepared somebody for baptism and you're standing in the baptismal tank with them as they get baptized, you will never forget that as long as you live. And so you are creating that opportunity for people. Step 4 is new member orientation class. And this is something you do on the Friday night before the baptismal Sabbath, the one that you scheduled, right? You schedule that Sabbath ahead of time, you announce it again, you celebrate in advance what God is going to do. Then as people begin preparing, you might have some people who are going to be transferring in that day, you might have some people who are getting baptized or rebaptized or both. You gather all of them together along with the baptism coaches who've been coaching them and working with them and studying with them. You gather all those people together on a Friday night before that celebration baptismal Sabbath, and you sit down and you share with them the DNA or the culture that you desire for the church to have. You don't present it that way, right? You present it from God's Word, and you show here's what a true godly church looks like from the Bible. Here are the things that they do. Here are the things that they do not do. Here is the heart that they have for the community and for discipleship. And you get a chance right there. That's a huge step in shifting culture, is to have that meeting so you're starting off those new members on the right track from day one. Culture change happens one member at a time. It's not going to happen overnight, but as you add more and more members and as they go through the new member orientation class, you will have an opportunity to have that shift taking place as people understand better what church is really all about. And finally, we come to step 5. Step 5 is start new groups quickly and easily. It doesn't need to be a big, long, complicated process to start new ministry. Some churches make it so complicated, people have to make a proposal and come before the board and share this and that, and why are you doing this, and how much money, and all this, and it just makes it very, very complicated. In our church, we just have it very, very simple to start a new group. As long as you have someone from the church board who can be your ministry coach, and they can guide you and nurture you and help you through that process, encourage you, and they'll also report to the church board how it's going. And if we need to help that group or help that ministry grow, they can report that to the church board. But as long as you have that person, someone on the church board, who's that ministry coach, helping coach on, and then you've got 3 key leaders within that group, an upreach leader, an inreach leader, and an outreach leader. The upreach leader is focused on everyone in the group, connecting with God, and on leading the curriculum or the material of the group. The inreach leader, not worried about those things. The inreach leader is focused on helping the group connect with each other, those who are within the group. The outreach leader, not focused on any of those other things. The outreach leader is focused on who is not part of the group and how can we help them join the group if they'd like to. How can we impact the community if they would like to join this group as well. So you've got your 3 strong leaders there, your upreach leader, which is the main leader, your inreach leader, and your outreach leader. And if you have all 3 of those leaders and you've got a church board ministry coach, that is all you need to start a group. You don't have to ask the pastor. You don't have to ask anybody else for permission. You can launch that group or that new ministry right then and there. And the pastor, guess what, is going to know about it because it's going to be reported on the church board. So these are the 5 baby steps that I found simplest, cheapest, and easiest to implement when trying to shift. Shifting culture is difficult. Changing culture takes time. But I found these steps to be outstanding ways to get the process started, and with these 5 baby steps. So God bless you in your ministry. I hope this is helpful to you. Even if you're able to just take one of these and apply it to your context, I hope that's the case. And I hope to see you sometime and celebrate what God is doing in you and through your ministry. God bless.